and welcome back to my channel. I decided to change a little bit of scenery, so this time you're kind of in my kitchen. I decided to move it because the lighting is a little better, so I probably have to buy a light. But anyways, first off, before I start off my video, I just want to say thanks. I just posted a video the other day. It was my intro video and I got more than 100 views, and for me that's a big deal. So thank you to everyone who subscribed and everyone who liked and everyone who's viewing my videos. So anyways, today we are going to be talking about what is spina bifida. So in my title, I put what is spina bifida. I'm not going to go too much in depth. I will explain the forms of spina bifida, what spina bifida is, and maybe a little bit about me and my baby who has spina bifida. So like I said, if you guys don't know, my 9-month-old, she has spina bifida. Spina bifida, just in case you guys don't know how it's spelled. Spina bifida in Latin means split spine. So just from that, I don't want you to think, oh my gosh, she's split in half. No. That's just what it means in Latin. But spina bifida is a birth defect, and usually they find this during with different screening tests and ultrasounds, typically at about 20 weeks of pregnancy. What it is when your baby is developing inside of your womb, if their spinal cord fails to develop properly, then they end up having spina bifida. And a lot of times they actually don't really know why this happens. They're still, researching and studying, if it factors in with genetics or if it's, lack of. A lot of times, what I did research is that they say that a lack of folic acid in the diet can be one of the main factors. But like I said, I don't want to say that's a for sure thing because the researchers don't even know. So it's still kind of up in the air, and 1 in 200,000 babies each year have spina bifida. So for me, I can tell you I'm not the healthiest person in the world, but I do take my vitamins, and I'm just kind of shocked if they were to say that it was a lack of folic acid, but whatever. Anyways, spina bifida is not just one thing, because there are different forms of spina bifida. There are 3 most common forms of spina bifida. So I'm going to go from the mildest to the most severe. The first one is called spina bifida occulta. Spina bifida occulta. You guys can see it? This is the mildest form. Typically this doesn't involve an opening of the back. Usually it's just like a gap in the spine. It's even called hidden spina bifida because sometimes the doctors don't even see it, or they don't even notice it until they, probably late childhood or early adulthood when they do some other tests. But usually after birth, there'll be like a hairy patch in the lower part of the spine. But like I said, it goes undetected sometimes, and usually this doesn't cause any damage to nerves or the spinal cord. So in that case, it doesn't really cause any disabilities. The second form is called meningocele. Meningocele. And I'm sorry I'm throwing out big terms, but there's really no other names for these, so I'm gonna just try the best I can. Not to sound too technical, but technical enough because it is medical information. So second form is meningocele. With this, there is an opening in the back of the baby and fluid comes out. So there's a sac of fluid that comes out from the opening of the baby's back. And this potentially doesn't cause any damage to nerves or the spinal cord. So usually there's just mild disabilities associated with this, or sometimes no disabilities associated with this. What form of spina bifida I want to talk about that's the most common is called myelomeningocele. I think it's actually said myelomeningocele, but since I'm breaking it down so you guys kind of know how to spell it, here, I'll actually put it up here. It's myelomeningocele, and that's the form Gigi has. So with myelomeningocele, you have not only a sac of fluid that's coming out of the opening of the baby's back, but you also have part of the spinal cord and some nerves that are also coming out with that sac of fluid. And in that case, you damage those nerves. So the reason why we say this is the most severe is because when you damage nerves, you're going to damage whatever those nerves are attached to. So depending on where and how big the defect is really determines how much of a disability the baby's gonna have. For instance, so my Gigi, she has her defect at L5 to S1. That's her lumbar spine section number 5 to her sacral number 1 section. So if you don't understand what I mean, I'm gonna put a picture right here. You see this picture right here? This is a picture of the spinal column. Okay, you have your thoracic, you have your lumbar section, and you have your sacral section. So Gigi, she has her defect at L5, so you can see L for lumbar, and 5 would be the little disc, to S1, the sacral part and the top portion. So hers was at the lower portion of her body. So when I was told that she had a defect there, an opening there, they told me that her complications would involve possible possible problems with bladder control, bowel movement control, and what that means is how she goes to the bathroom 1 and 2, and also possible leg mobility. If she's gonna have some leg weakness or just no sensation at all, numbness or whatnot. So for me, that was scary, right? And then so she has it at the lower part, which affects the lower part of the body. Some people, their myelomeningocele is higher up. So if that defect is higher up, it's going to potentially damage everything that's low, from where it's at to the very bottom. So people can have other problems with all the other organs in their abdomen. So it just really depends where the defect or the opening is and how big it is. Because if you think about it, the bigger the opening, the more nerves are going to be affected. So I don't want you guys to take what I'm going to say next as advice, because this is just my personal experience. I'm just here to give you some information that I got off from some credible resources on the internet, but I'm also going to outline what me and my husband decided to do for our baby Gigi. So with myelomeningocele, they do give you options, and this is a little touchy for me because it's hard. It's hard when you go in and the doctor tells you that your baby has a birth defect, and the doctor, the doctors, they're doctors, they're professionals. They're not gonna cry with you and tell you what you have. So don't think that they're being rude, because they're not. Okay, imagine if they cried with every patient. Like, I'd be so stressed as a doctor. Anyways, I'm gonna get teary-eyed because I'm about to kind of tell you my experience when we were told. So when they told us the baby had spina bifida, or possibly spina bifida, I usually never take my husband to ultrasounds, and I took him to this ultrasound, and that's when the doctor told us. And I think because I was in denial, it didn't really affect me at that moment. But just seeing my husband cry when they told us, it's not because they told us. He started to cry when the doctor gave us options. So this is really hard for me, but oh my God, I said I wouldn't cry, but I'm such a sap. So the doctors are doctors. So they give you the option to terminate. They give you the option to have, to wait till after the baby's born and then, discuss surgery options after. Or what we did, which is, believe it or not, it's crazy, but they do it. What's called open fetal surgery. Open fetal surgery. I'll do another video discussing what open fetal surgery is and my experience and everything else that happened. I tried to video it earlier, but it took an hour. And I know you guys don't want to hear me talk for an hour. So anyways, we had open fetal surgery to repair Gigi's back. And I feel with the repair that she's improved. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's because of where a defect was or if it's because she got the repair. I don't know, but I see a lot of improvement in Gigi. She has good bowel movements. She has good bladder movements. She's moving her legs. She feels her feet. So like I said, don't take my advice and don't just jump to fetal surgery. but look into it. And another thing, it's really hard to qualify for it because their requirements in order to qualify are pretty extensive. Like you have to be super healthy, the baby has to be healthy, you have to run a whole bunch of tests and exams. And so it's really hard. But if you guys have any questions about it, go ahead and, if you don't want to wait for the video, go ahead and send me a message down below, or you can email me and I'll answer any questions you guys have. So anyways, going back to myelomeningocele, the reason why it's the most severe form is because it goes hand in hand with what's called Arnold-Chiari 2 malformation. If you can see it there. See? Okay. With the opening of the spinal cord, there is loss of fluid in the nervous system, surrounding the nervous system. So what this does is it causes the brain to be positioned lower than where it normally would be. So I know you guys are like, what? Like, I don't understand. So I'm going to put another picture right here. You can see in the top picture where it says normal, you can see where the brain's positioned. Okay? And now the bottom, you can see it's positioned lower. And what happens is it's kind of like, here, let me break it down. It's kind of like the spinal cord is like pulling down, and it's like coming down, but what it does is it gets like stuck in the canal at the base of the brain. And what happens is usually when fluid is being circulated in the brain and goes through the back of the head into your body to get reabsorbed, when you have this pooling and it gets obstructed there, what's going to happen? If you obstruct that flow of fluid from the brain to the body, then you're going to have a buildup. And what happens is this fluid, which is called CSF, which is short for cerebral spinal fluid. Sorry again with the big terms, but I mean, I don't think it's called anything else. So CSF, what happens is this fluid builds up in the brain. And then your head gets bigger and bigger. And that's why you see a lot of babies with spina bifida have big heads. Because I'm sure you're wondering, well, why do the babies have big heads? That's why. That's called hydrocephalus. Hydrocephalus. Okay? So that's when you get that fluid buildup in the brain. And that happens because of that obstruction that's being caused from the opening in the back. And that's why we repaired Gigi's back. And another thing. So once they say you have hydrocephalus, they wait until the baby's big enough to get what's called a ventriculoperitoneal shunt. I had to pause there because if I say it too fast, I'm not going to say it right. So ventriculoperitoneal shunt, which I'm sure you guys have heard the term VP shunt. So that's when they put a shunt system, which is a little tubing catheter in the brain to shunt this fluid out. Because the baby itself cannot get rid of this fluid, so it's just accumulating in the head, and all that pressure is really bad for the brain. So what they do is typically they wait until the baby's big enough, and I think they go behind the ear. They go behind the ear, they drill in the head, and they go through the skull. I know it sounds pretty gruesome. They put a catheter in the ventricles, and then they run this tubing along the side of the neck down to the down to your side and into your abdomen, and that's where the fluid gets reabsorbed. So because the baby itself can't do it because it's being obstructed in the back here. So fortunately for us, Gigi did not need a shunt, and I'll tell you why. So Gigi, because of complications, she was born really early and she was 2 pounds. So they can't put a shunt in a baby that's 2 pounds and very fragile. Their skin is like paper. So we were gonna wait until the doctor's like, let's wait till she gets bigger and we'll probably put a shunt in. So I'm like, okay. So meanwhile, at that point, they waited a little bit and they put what's called an Ommaya reservoir. Ommaya reservoir, okay? And that kind of acted like a temporary shunt, I would say, because what they did is they drilled a hole at the top of her head and they put a catheter in. They put a catheter in, and there was like a button that sat on underneath her skin on the base of her head. And what they did is they got like a needle syringe, and they would, sterile technique. A doctor would go and punch or poke the button, and since the catheter was already going to her ventricles, they would just drain fluid. And I'm telling you, they drained like 10-15 mLs every day. So that I already knew, okay, she's accumulating fluid on a daily basis, so we're probably gonna need a shunt. Anyways, long story short, it got infected, probably a few weeks later, and then they removed it. And so she was already like 2 months old, two and a half months old. And so they removed it, and I don't know what happened. Like, thank you God, I don't know what happened. They stopped accumulating fluid. Her ventricles stopped accumulating fluid. They just remained stable. So the doctors at this point were like, okay, well, we don't want to put a shunt in just in case. She's not accumulating fluid. That means the fluid's being reabsorbed in the body somehow. So what I'm thinking, I'm not saying this is what happened, but what I think is that when she got her back repaired, we reversed the Chiari-2 malformation. We stopped that pulling of the spinal cord and, you know, obstructing that area. And I think there's still like a little space there for her to release that fluid. That's what I think. I mean, if you read more into it, I think that can happen. But that's what I think happened. So that's why I'm kind of happy that I did that open fetal surgery. But like I was saying, so she no longer has hydrocephalus, because hydrocephalus is the accumulation of fluid. So my doctor, he wants me to say that she has ventriculomegaly, enlarged ventricles. He's like, it's not hydrocephalus unless she's accumulating that fluid. So I'm like, okay, so she has enlarged ventricles. So we're still monitoring her. Don't think that we're not checking her. We still check the size of her head. So her head circumference, we still check that, making sure that she doesn't have this big jump and increase. And then we also check for signs and symptoms, as far as like if she's throwing up a lot, or if she has a fever consistently, downward gazing, stuff like that. So I still see a neurosurgeon, and we just check on her monthly, and we've done some ultrasounds. Her soft spot's closing, so that's going to get kind of hard later on. But anyways, so yeah, so myelomeningocele is the most severe because it goes hand in hand with Chiari-2 malformation and hydrocephalus. So, and then just depending on where that myelomeningocele is and how big it is, it's going to determine, you know, how much it's going to damage. So just depending on the size and the location is really going to determine what the baby's disability is going to be. And, you know, everyone's different. Not everyone's the same. You know, you can have some mild disabilities, moderate, or severe disabilities. Everyone's different. But I just want you to know, if you're new to my channel and you clicked on this video because it says, what is spina bifida? I want you to know that there are so many support groups out there, and I'm on a lot of them in Facebook. So if you see my name, you want to click on it and you want to see my support groups, I'm in a lot of spina bifida support groups because those are the best. I really wish I knew more about this. Excuse me. So I really wish I knew more about this when I found out, because it was really stressful for me at that time that I found out, the baby had spina bifida. I didn't know where to go to, and I went online and I was stressing myself out because I couldn't find anything. And I'm really a visual person. Like, I would have liked to see this video to tell me about it, but no, I had to read it, and sometimes just reading it isn't the same. So I just want you guys to know that everyone's different, and we're all here for you to support you. If you have any questions, the support groups are great. They even give you stuff that they don't even use anymore. There's a lot of ladies there who have like boxes of catheters that they don't use, and if you need to catheterize your baby, they'll send it to you. Any questions you might have about medications, what to do in certain cases, like, they're just amazing. And had I had that in the beginning, I don't think I would have stressed out so much. But now that I have them, it feels nice, and it feels nice to see other people and other kids reach different milestones, and that's what I'm going to do too. So I'm going to have a playlist specifically for spina bifida. I'm going to record Gigi's milestones as she's getting bigger, and that way you guys can see her development having spina bifida. And you know what? I don't really consider, I don't know, maybe because she's my baby, but I just don't want you to see it as a disability. I mean, I know it could get hard. I'm fortunate enough to say that, her complications aren't as extensive as some other people's, but I just want you to know that with the proper care, the right amount of support, kids with spina bifida, they grow up to lead very productive lives, and I just don't want you to give up on them, because it's not their fault. It's just like 1 in a million. Here, I'm gonna go crying again, but not 1 in a million. I take that back. It's like 1 in 200,000. But still, like, they're just babies. Just love them, support them, treat them normal. Don't treat them like they have a disability, okay? Oh, stop. Okay, I'm so sorry, guys. God, you guys are probably gonna click off my video because you're crying. Okay. So anyways, oh, I do want to show you a picture because I know a lot of people are visual. I'm a visual person too. So about all the 3 forms that I was talking about, and I explained what it was, you know, with the sac and the nerves and the spine. If you're a visual person, here's a picture. One last time, whew, while I decide to calm down. You can see Spina Bifida occulta, which is the mildest, meningocele, which is the 2nd form, and myelomeningocele being the most severe form. Okay? And then, oh, one more thing. I do want to show, not one more thing, 2 more things. I do want to show you an ultrasound. It's not mine because I can't even find my ultrasounds. I don't know where I left them. But this ultrasound's pretty spot on to what Gigi's look like. Right here. This is a myelomeningocele. It's the opening of the back. Okay, so you can see that there. That's exactly what Gigi's look like. So, I mean, it's clear as day. You can see the back is open. You see the spine and then the back opening. That's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be closed. So, like if they don't see any abnormalities in your blood work, and that's one thing that I forgot to mention. They screen different ways, okay? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot this. So the way they screen for spina bifida is they can screen by checking what's called the AFP level. So AFP, which stands for alpha fetal protein. Okay, if these levels are high, then they tell you that your baby, you know, has spina bifida or some other birth defect. And yeah, the protein that the unborn baby makes. So if it's high, like I said, then they'll tell you that the baby has spina bifida. In my case, my blood work was normal. So just because your blood work's normal, I can't say that they can tell you that everything's fine because it's not true. Because when we found out is when they did the ultrasound, okay? And then on top of that, because they were kind of iffy on why it didn't show in my lab works, they decided to do another test, which is called an amniocentesis. Amniocentesis. This test sucked. Like, holy cow. I thought I wouldn't need it because usually they give this test to females over the age of 35 who get pregnant because they're at, you know, they're at a higher risk for birth defects and complications with their pregnancy because of age. So I'm like, hey, I'm 33, like, I'm not, you know, I don't need this test. Turns out I did get it. The reason why it sucked is because they get sample fluids of your amniotic fluid. Yes. So imagine, where's the amniotic sac? In your belly, like all the way down there. So they use like a big ass, oh, I keep forgetting not to curse on the camera. But anyways, they use a big needle. I don't know if that be, I might be exaggerating. And they stick it in your belly and they draw these sample amniotic fluids samples out and they test them for these AFP levels. One more thing, I just wanted to show you the picture of the procedure. So it's illustrated because I don't want to scare you guys with the real picture. But yeah, so they do that and then you wait a couple days. And that's when we found out that yes, I do have elevated AFP levels. So I'm like, okay, we finally have two concrete results. And yes, you know, my baby's going to have spina bifida. So yeah, so they do screen for that. A lot of females don't know that their babies have spina bifida either because they don't get the right prenatal care. You know, they don't see a doctor or anything, or the images that they get aren't really good and then they just miss it, which kind of sucks because then you're not prepared for it and it's kind of a shock to the system. But like I said, I just want to reiterate that, you know, once you find out, don't be scared. I mean, you are going to be scared. I'm not going to lie. You're going to be scared. You're going to be sad. You're going to cry. But I just want you to know it's not the end of the world. In the end, you have a loving baby who loves you. You made them. And, you know, it's just, it's a blessing. And it's really nice to have other people, like I said, in those support groups that have I don't know, it just feels nice. It feels nice because they sympathize with you and they understand you. And the reason for this video is so my friends know a little bit more about my baby and what she has. And then now you know what spina bifida is. If you have any more questions, you know, shoot me down a question in my comment section on the bottom here. If you don't want people to see your questions, or if you want me to go more into depth about, you know, my open fetal surgery, or Gigi, or how she's doing, then send me an email. Okay, my email's right here, train.tanya.2016. okay, I respond to my emails, so if you want to shoot a whole bunch of questions, go ahead. But anyways, on that note, I think I pretty much covered it. I told you guys, you know, what spina bifida is, what it means, the most common forms, the most severe form, and what they do, and what Gigi has. And yeah, so I'm going to end this video now. And oh, one more thing to my new subscribers. It's not just like, I'm not gonna just have videos on spina bifida. I'm gonna have a playlist specifically for spina bifida, yes, because it's important to me. And I'm gonna have a whole bunch of other stuff because I'm all over the place. So you know, check my other videos out. I'll have challenges. My sister's coming over in a couple days, so we'll probably do like a challenge or some kind of crazy product review. But yeah, that too, I'm gonna do some product reviews. And I also want a list that I'm going to probably put some recipes up, because I have gotten a lot of people who ask me on Snapchat to post my recipes, because I always make stuff. And since my husband's Chinese Vietnamese, I always try, he says I do good, but I try to make his like Vietnamese favorite dishes. They come out pretty good, and I never document them. So now that I have a channel, I'm gonna do that. Okay, so thanks again, you guys, for watching. After this, after I end here, I'm gonna just put a screenshot, not a screenshot, like a slide of all the links that I used for all my information, and links also on open fetal surgery if you want a little bit of information on that. Okay, and you guys, thank you again for watching my channel. I really hope you guys come back. Bye.